Beetlejuice, Beetlejuice, Beetlejuice. Huh. Surprised that thing even happened. So Beetlejuice is the sequel to the original Beetlejuice, also directed by Tim Burton in his return to Hollywood in a while. There's been a tragedy in the Deeds family, and through a series of circumstances, it reunites Lydia, Delia, and her daughter Astrid. The ghost with the most gets wind of this, and all he can say is, now's his chance. Let me start off by talking about Michael Keaton in this movie because I already knew in through a series of rewatching the first movie again before this one. It's not a surprise to say that he's a standout in this film. Well, the title's been named after him, but still, in the original Beetlejuice, he was only in there for a minimum of 17 minutes exact. He stole the show in the original, and that is the same in this one because I feel like in this movie, he's in there. He's not even in it a lot, just like the first one, but I feel like he's in there sprinkled too much to the point where I feel like he's not just like a supporting role, he's a main benefit and factor into the main plot of this, even adding a little bit of backstory to the character, which I feel like, yeah, there was a lot theorized in the first Beetlejuice as to what he was, that he lived around the Black Plague. But I have a feeling that whatever they introduced for lore in this movie, I'm like, I like that, but I feel like that could have been a movie on its own or a little spin on what they also tried to do in the Beetlejuice cartoon. Nonetheless, Michael Keaton was still a highlight in this film. And Winona Ryder, because I have a feeling that whenever they try to bring her in for a legacy sequel, I have a feeling that okay, hopefully this character evolves. Hopefully they're not just some grump, just oh, I'm tired and adult life has been all up in this shit. But no, and they actually respect the legacy in this one because I have a feeling that they knew, according to all these other legacy sequels, that they had to change up the characters a bit based on what you knew them in the previous film. But no, they actually show Lydia actually evolved to a point where she is not just the goth girl who's like, oh, I can see dead people. She sees the ghosts in the underworld, but I have a feeling that okay, the more they expand on their character and the more they try to at least acknowledge the fact that ghosts exist in this world, and she's the only one that could see it, and that's the only thing she's attached to. I kind of like that little aspect, and at least they didn't try to reputize her character by saying, "Oh, she's depressed by seeing ghosts and stuff like that." But what really stands out in this film are the practical effects, or should I say, I don't even want to know if it's actual practical effects because I'm feeling that some of it is I like, some of it is old school timber where you see claymation, stop motion, animation used with live action, which is also kind of in the first one too. But at least they didn't try to CG this up a bit because everything looked real, dolls, actual effects with blood. I'm like, okay, I like that, but at least it's not doing that thing where every other legacy sequel has to improve on the CGI because if you look at the first Beetlejuice and you look at this one, they look like they're in the same universe. And for the most part, the colors stand out more in the second than the first. But I have a feeling that's more the fact that our technology's evolved, cameras change up a bit, and they couldn't use like the little goth exterior of black and white. But still, I love me some practical effects, especially the fact that you can look at this and say, you know what? There's no excuse anymore. We can actually do stuff like this and actually have it work on screen. So like that, it's not going to be too distracting looking at a CG model that's not even there. Another thing I can appreciate about this film is the fact that this is a sequel, but it doesn't do that thing where it genuinely copies the first movie with a couple tweaked elements to make it seem different. And it's like, okay, familiar story, new ideas, sequel. No, they didn't do that, and I can actually say for a fact that okay, I can look at both of these two as two completely different films, and at least one of them is like not copying the other based on what standards of what made it successful. But within the story itself, I have a feeling that there were a couple ideas mixed into this film, but I have a feeling that they wanted to include all this stuff when in reality the movie had kind of a simple premise if you look at it from the basis. Lydia's daughter doesn't believe in ghosts, and once she has the realization that the supernatural is real, it takes her on a path to the ghost world. And I have a feeling, okay, that's your main story. But then there are a couple other elements sprinkled into this movie. I feel like, okay, these are good actors that you have in this, but they were in there for a couple minutes and yeah, they were stylized and some of them actually look good. But I have a feeling there was a lot more time they could have spent with them. But if you think about it, if you include them in this movie and they're barely in it, they don't even affect the plot in any way. Like Monica Bellucci's character, who totally reminds me of Sally from Nightmare Before Christmas. I liked her introduction and the fact that they try to include some new things onto Beetlejuice because people know that he has a mysterious past, and this woman has evolved with it somehow. Which, if you watch the first movie, I caught it last second, so that was kind of funny to realize it. But yeah, she's barely in the movie, and I have a feeling that they could have touched on her much in this, but there wasn't anywhere to put her since we were dealing with the main plot. Same with Willem Dafoe because I have a feeling It's a cool concept introducing new creative ways to introduce new demons or ghosts into the ghost world. But I have a feeling his character, which I kind of like that he's a cop, but he's not really a cop. He's one of those Hollywood level B level actors playing a cop, thinking, okay, I'm a ghost detective. I can actually solve the crime. But I have a feeling they wanted to include some creative ideas within the ghost world, but there wasn't any way to fit them, and they're just there in the background. It's 10 minutes longer than the original, but I have a feeling that we're used to 2 hour movies. If this movie's a little bit extended, or if there's an extended cut somewhere, I would have liked it if it was a bit longer, but for what we have, I thought it was just fine. It's not better than the original, it doesn't disrespect the legacy of the original. It's a sequel that's a worthy predecessor to the original, and for the most part, at least everybody was put into work on this. Everybody had a good time. And the fact that Michael Keaton, in his age right now, was so expressive in this, to the fact that I realized back then it was like, okay, he did Beetlejuice, then he started in Batman, and now looking forward in 2023 and 2024, he came back as Batman, and a year later he came back as Beetlejuice, and I kind of find that convenient if you think about it. I had a good time, and not gonna lie, I have a feeling that this is gonna be an actual Halloween Classic 6. We're in September, Halloween's a month away, and I have a feeling that, yeah, this is gonna be roaming around the Halloween season. I can tell that this is gonna be a success. I don't know how much to be exact, but I have a feeling that, yeah, this is one of those movies. I have a feeling that everybody knows the genre. Everybody misses old school movies like this where they're creative with their ideas. They're not just shooting out a sequel just to shoot out a sequel, or waited just because, oh, that's the thing to do nowadays. And for what it's worth, this is actually one of those movies you can watch on day one. All right, guys, thank you guys for watching. Leave a like, subscribe if you haven't already. All my social media is down in the description below, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye, guys.